How's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I have made a mix-up in yesterday's video. There was a lot of things to keep track of. There were a lot of numbers going around. Yesterday, I was looking at what I have for alfalfa in my in storage. I was like, I sure have a lot of alfalfa for having been feeding these cattle for 10 days. I ran numbers on that alfalfa when it first got here, so that each bale will last me roughly 8 to 10 days. I believe it's 8 days. I still had a lot of alfalfa left over in that first bale that I'm pulling apart right now. So I took a look at my notes. I wrote down everything on back of my hand that I got going on in terms of numbers. 10 days ago, I took these animals' weights. From weights that I took, I decided to move their feed up from 50 to 75 pounds. They were being fed all grain. 5 days ago, I decided that I was going to give them forage as well. I took a look at the grass. Their grass had been grazed to dirt, so I decided I was going to provide forage for these animals as well. I reduced their grain again from 50 to 75 pounds. Then I put in 60 pounds of alfalfa. Oh man, these cattle are making a mess of this hay. I took their... Hey, I'm coming in. Whoa. Hey, move, fella, move, fella. Hey. So 5 days ago, I decided they needed more forage. I reduced their grain again from 75 to 50 pounds. Then I added 60 pounds of alfalfa to their diet on top of that 50 pounds of grain. I currently pay about 22 cents per pound of feed, whether it be grain or whether it be alfalfa. I pay 22 cents a pound for it, just roughly. Currently, it is costing me $1,475 a month to put on roughly 1,830 pounds of weight. It may be costing me $1,475 a month to put on 1,800 pounds. I only have 2 weeks of supply though. I only bought enough forage I only bought enough feed stuff to feed these animals for 2 weeks. Just because we were gonna get that rain. I was watching Weather Channel. I knew we were gonna get some rain. On Weather Channel it said 100%, so I knew it was gonna rain. It also said that it was gonna rain a good bit on the Weather Channel. It was saying 1 inch, but it actually rained 2. Oh, they always push this off the one. Hey, knock it off. Hey, whoa. Oh. Come on. Move. There you go. So we did get that rain. It's gonna rain again next week. Weather is real good. This grass will be growing back in. So back 10 days ago, when I was feeding these cattle just 50 pounds of grain, that was it. I would feed them 50 pounds of grain 2 times a day. This grass was growing in faster than they could eat it. Weather was so good. We had a lot of rain. Weather was just perfect for growing grass. So these animals were eating grass as a majority of their diet. They were grazing it. Grass was still over 7 inches tall. I had fertilized it back in, I believe it's late October. Grass was growing in real good until about end of December. Around then. It was about end of December when that frost hit. That frost killed all this grass. Then we had 0 rain on it. So it was still growing back. So there was still moisture in this soil. I was probably seeing an inch of growth a week or so. I would, this is just from my memory. I would say it was growing in about an inch a week just from soil moisture, from moisture that had been left in soil. So ryegrass, even though there was 0 rain, actually got to about 3 inches tall. Even though there had been 0 rain, it got to about 3 inches tall again. These cattle grazed it to dirt though, because eventually it just slowed. Then it sputtered. Then cattle just grazed it all. When I put fertilizer on this field back in October, late October, somewhere around that time, I remember urea was 600 something, low 600. It was about like $615 or so, something like that per ton. I was checking fertilizer prices yesterday to see what fertilizer prices are right now. Urea is going for something like $480 a ton right now. So back in 2020, I was looking at this yesterday. Back in 2020, urea was maybe $115 a ton. It went up to about almost 1,000, or excuse me, it went up past 1,000. Then it slowly started coming back down. So right now it's at about 480 or so. When I put fertilizer on this field, urea was 600 something, 620 or so. I bought a 26026 nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK with 7% sulfur fertilizer. That fertilizer cost me $775 for a tonnage. So, yep, I'm getting ready to get fertilizer to grow spring forage. I would think fertilizer prices are going to be a bit lower. I was taking a look at, I believe it's a USDA report, but it's called the Hay Market Report. I was reading about what was going on in Kansas, just to see what was going on outside of Texas. over in Kansas, they're paying about $130 a ton for grass hay. Then they're paying about $250 a ton for alfalfa. It's somewhere between $200 to $250 a tonnage for alfalfa. Before this drought happened, it was a drought. It was like a worst drought in 10 years or something like that happened this last year in Texas. Before that drought happened, hay was selling for about $130 a ton. So I used to be able to buy a bale of hay for $55. Then it went up to $150. I believe that it was due to this drought. I originally was looking at things thinking that hay prices were going to stay elevated. Now that I took a look at things yesterday, well, okay, so my main belief was that hay prices were going to stay elevated because fertilizer was expensive, as well as cattle inventories were so low. From what I saw yesterday, I think hay prices are coming down. I think hay prices are going lower. I really thought about it, and well, even at $130 a tonnage, let's say for example, could I make I would still make close to double my money if I got $130 for 2,000 pounds of hay. If I grew 2,000 pounds of hay and someone gave me $130 for it, with current costs, I would about double my money every time I sold hay. A little bit less. It's about a 75% markup. But could I make money selling hay at $130 a ton? Yes. With current prices of input. So when I saw what was going on in Kansas, when I saw what was going on in places other than Texas, when I saw what was going on with fertilizer prices, I'm starting to think that hay prices are going lower. Hay prices going lower will likely push cattle prices higher. That's what I think. I think cattle prices are going higher. I was at a grocery store yesterday just shopping. Their T-bone steak is up probably. T-bone steak is almost $14-15 a pound right now, when that same T-bone steak used to be $12 a pound. So, yep, it's definitely up. Prices on beef is definitely up. When hay prices go lower, well, okay, so hay prices being lower is only really here in Texas right now. I think it's due to this drought. Here this week, weather conditions will be getting very, very good to have grass growing back in. I believe that, well, okay, so this whole me feeding $1,475 worth of feed to put 1,830 pounds on these animals, is that good? Well, it's extremely high. When I have grass growing in for these animals, I'm going to cut back on their feed severely. I'll keep a measurement of their weights. I'm going to keep them right at 2 pounds a day is what my goal is. Simply because, okay, so here's the idea of 2 pounds a day when I look at things. Why do I go for 2 pounds a day? 2 pounds a day turns into 60 pounds a month. 60 pounds a month over 10 months is 600 pounds. If a calf was born at 85 pounds, that means a 10-month-old calf would weigh nearly 700 pounds. If that gets pushed any higher, if a 10-month-old calf starts weighing what is Sibby's if a 10-month-old calf weighed 850 pounds, that would be an extremely heavy animal. That would be well, that's just, I mean, so that's my belief. When I look at numbers, that's what I think. I think two pounds a day is good for an animal this size, even this size. I think 2 pounds a day is good. 2.5 pounds a day just seems kind of, it seems like a bit too extreme. So that's why I say 2 pounds a day is good. When I run numbers, it's what makes sense to me. I got my hands on some corn residue. I'll be bringing it in tomorrow. I paid a bit extra for it. It's a corn residue that I got baled last September. When corn residue is in season, it usually costs $80 a ton. I paid close to $110 for a tonnage of it. So yeah, how much extra is that? That's almost 50% more. So instead of paying 80, I paid 110. I got my hands on some corn stalks, some corn residue. I'll be bringing that in tomorrow. It's supposed to rain all next week, so I figured it'd be I need to have a bale for bedding just in case. If I start realizing that, if I start seeing that these animals are getting agitated, I'll put in some good bedding for them so they could stay dry at night. If they start spurting from eating wet grass, I'll give them corn residue to give them dry matter to keep them from having such bad diarrhea. I'll also give my farmers co-op a call to see what they're running on fertilizer prices. If I could get a half ton of fertilizer for $325, I would go buy it. A half ton of fertilizer is what I would need to get this field growing back again at optimal condition. Even if I'm going to till it all in, I'll be tilling my this field in. Yeah, they're asking for grain. They want some grain. Hey, baby. But yeah, if I could get a half ton of fertilizer for $325, I'll go get that half tonnage of fertilizer. I'll put it on this field. Then in 2 months, okay, so if I spent $325 for a half tonnage of fertilizer, then that half tonnage of fertilizer produces enough grass for 30 animals to eat for 2 months. It would have been a good investment. Because if I need to provide forage for these animals at current costs, it costs me close to $700 a month. So either way, I need to put money into this thing. If I can put in $200, if I can put in $325, $160 a month instead of $700, it's a very good investment. So I'll give my farmers co-op a call. Oh man, I just remembered I gotta give my insurance agent a call too. I'm changing my car insurance because I just saved I saved like $400 changing my car insurance. I gotta cancel my old policy. But yeah, I gotta give farmers my farmers co-op a call. I'm gonna see if I can get that half tonnage of fertilizer. Even if it was $400, now that I think about these numbers, even if it was $400, I would be willing to buy a half tonnage of fertilizer. Which would, it's going to be lower than $400. I paid $7.75 for a tonnage of it last year. They charge same amount for a tonnage or a half tonnage per poundage. They charge same amounts. So if I could I need to put forage in these animals' bellies. Feeding them just straight grain is it could lead to something. It could lead to digestive problems. It could lead. I found that animals do better when they have a bovine's gut. They need roughage. They need that forage material to keep their intestines doing well. So I'm gonna see what fertilizer costs. Grass should be growing in good enough to feed these cattle just straight grazing. should be growing in well enough to give these cattle forage by just straight grazing. I know from just last year grazing my cattle on my grass that my field with good conditions will feed. It will feed 30 cattle grazing just constantly. It'll feed them 100% of their forage. They will be able to eat. The grass will grow in faster than they can eat. So grass, it costs well, last year I put 75 pounds of nitrogen on this field. I'm going to be tilling this grass in to plant Sudan grass. So when I plant that Sudan grass, I'll have to fertilize again. So I'm gonna fertilize this field. If I put $350 into this field, I should be able to grow. I believe with about 90%, because of what weather is right now. Granted that if there was another severe frost, this grass would die again. But for just from last year's numbers, it would cost me about with current fertilizer prices, I believe it would cost me about, to feed these cattle on grass that I grow here, it would cost me about $250 a month. So if I put $250 a month into growing forage here for these cattle will have an unlimited supply. Granted that weather is good. When I take a look at hay prices over in Kansas, their hay prices are what our hay prices were before this drought happened. So I do believe hay prices are going lower. I believe that hay prices going lower with cattle inventories being so low will push cattle prices higher. This year I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do in terms of what I'm going to do to make myself some money. Well, what I can do to make some money. But yeah, I mean, you know, in all honesty, if hay went back to $130 a tonnage, I may just plant a pearl millet on this field, then let these cattle graze pearl millet during spring, summer, late fall. I may just plant pearl millet. I may just drill pearl millet into this field, let cattle graze that, then bring in forage. If hay prices drop that severely here, I may just continue feeding cattle during this year, but I'll have to see. If I, yep, because, well, I mean, Kansas, well, their hay prices are what our hay prices used to be. So if our hay prices go back to where they were 2 years ago, if I can bring in 2,000 pounds of hay, if I can bring in 2,000 pounds of alfalfa for $200, even $250, if I can bring in 2,000 pounds of hay for $130, I'll just drill my field with pearl millet, then feed cattle. If I think cattle prices, if hay prices go that low, I think cattle prices are going higher. So I may just feed cattle. I may make more money just feeding cattle if hay prices are going to go up like that. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I'll have to see what I'm going to do. Oh, yep. Just got to try it. Just got to make myself some money. All right, YouTube. Y'all have a good one. That's it from me today.